This is a brief review of the Buyer Due Diligence checklist. This checklist is given to each buyer in the state of Utah when they sign a buyer-broker agreement. It basically addresses the issues that a buyer can expect to have a look at when they purchase a home. The important thing to remember about this document is that you could spend $1 million trying to buy a property before you even get around to paying for it. We'll go through this quickly and I'll have you understand some things about it. First off, as usual, it outlines the parties to the agreement, which is the company, the agent, and the buyer. And then it specifies a property. In most cases, this document is given before a property is identified, and sometimes that's left as to be determined. There are arguments as to whether or not that's the best way to do it. Basically, it starts off with a notice from the company that just basically explains that, hey, if the agent tells you anything, you don't depend on it. You need to verify things for yourself, and you need to understand everything about the property before you buy it. So let's go into it right away. Number one, building code zoning compliance. Basically, it's going to explain that, hey, you need to check to make sure that the property you're purchasing is zoned for what you want to use it for. The main thing to check on in this case is a property that looks like a duplex, but in fact is not a duplex. That's the most common problem we have. Other issues arise when a property is used for commercial purposes and it's not zoned commercial. So this is important to verify. Number two, rental of property. In some homeowners associations or communities, it is against the rules to rent your property out, especially in a condominium complex that has an HOA. You have to be very careful to verify that you can rent your property out if you're buying it as an investment. Obviously, you could have the guys in white suits come and test your property till the cows come home for whatever you want to test it for on hazardous substances. Surveying. A lot of times the property that looks like the property boundaries are not necessarily the boundaries, and so you could have a surveyor come and put stakes in the corners or go to whatever extremes you want it to make sure that the property is as promised. Most buyers elect simply to look at the plat map and the existing property lines, fences, and any other landmarks that are there and go off of that. But you don't really know unless you survey it, and every fence that's ever been built is off, either by an inch or by a mile. Home warranty plans, obviously, that basically is a kind of like an extended warranty on a car for a house. It has limited coverages, but allows you to have some coverage. Flood zone insurance. If you're in a flood zone, this is an important issue because flood zone insurance is provided by the government, but only as it's reapproved. This year we went through a time when there was some doubt as to whether or not the Congress was going to reauthorize this program. If your home's in a flood zone and that's not reauthorized, that could be a major issue, and so it's something to think about. Homeowners insurance, clearly you need to check on your homeowners insurance that it has the coverages that you need. Title issues and homeowners associations. Talked a little bit about this before. You've got to make sure that the restrictions on the property are something you're willing to live with, and every property has some restrictions. The physical condition clearly is what most people think about when they think of property, checking things out. But this is crucial. You need to have somebody who is an inspector look at the property, or somebody that you consider to be an equivalent of an inspector. Just because an agent says, hey, that should be great, never take their word. Square footage and acreage. Basically, a lot of times homes aren't necessarily the size that you think they are, and so it's important to verify that size. An appraiser will do a measurement on the home and make sure of that. Utility services. Make sure you've got the utilities you need. If you have to have cable and the property doesn't have cable to it, that can be a problem. So verify that what you want is there. Water. Every community has different water standards. There are obviously standards that we all abide by in America so we can drink the water. But you need to make sure that you're comfortable with what is in the water at the property you're purchasing. Geologic conditions, that's checking for faults, for soils that settle, that kind of thing. Mold has become a big issue in it late. And obviously you'll want to test for that as well. Housing compliance, it basically just is advising you to check to make sure that the property is in compliance with the housing laws. And property taxes, always check what your property taxes are going to be on the new home. Obviously that affects your payment. Finally, you have your income tax and legal consequences. Obviously, as an agent, we tell you, hey, this is going to be tax deductible when you pay interest on the property. But you know what? Check with your tax advisor on everything. And finally, the signature page and the wasted paper that we always enjoy in Utah real estate issues. Hey, have a great day. My name is Mike Burns, Thorough Property Results. You can always call me for more details at 801-836-6683. That's 801-836-6683.